Cena's 17th title. By the end, it's December. They're making a special here. They're making a special Premier Live event in Boston in December as John Cena concludes his career. Ruthless Aggression is going to be called. The Premier Live event going to be called Ruthless Aggression. And I'll even go more. Kurt Angle may, just may, be his last opponent. That's all I'm going to say there. But again, the main event, what do you expect?
It's a vision. I don't even know what to say to that. Sure, I guess. I guess I'll just
when I'm right, when I'm right,
everything you just
you
said.
officially signed your fired up fem contract, okay? Because there's they talk about Paul Heyman and all these guys signing contracts. We got to sign. You got almost 500,000 followers. I got to get you to 1 million followers. Then people will be knocking at your door, like my good friend Aaron Stevens. Hello to Aaron Stevens. All right. So who? and the cat, we had the cat on the.
Maybe he comes back at WrestleMania.
No, well, he announced to the world that he will be at WrestleMania, but he also announced to the world that he's going to drink some wobbly pops. That's all I'm saying, and I'm going to I'm giving all the scoops here. I'm going to give you. I'm telling you, okay. Tom Brady will be at WrestleMania. Tom Brady will be at WrestleMania, and I'm going to say this. Another guy who will fight maybe for like 32 seconds is your favorite guy, Pat McAfee.
Yes. My favorite guy. Right. Okay, I'm not gonna argue with that, but I don't know when I said that. But sure, yeah, my favorite guy, Pat McAfee.
All right, so who do you call?
Who else I would really like to see at WrestleMania and possibly face Randy Orton? And I've also seen birdies chirping about it.
You can't see the same birdies I see.
Maybe different birdies. I don't know. We're in different places. I'm in Florida. Okay. You're in Canada, so maybe they're different birdies. But I've definitely seen some chirping about Jeff Cobb at WrestleMania, and I would absolutely love to see that.
I just gave that away. Now I said The Rock's going to form a team with Jeff Cobb, or I didn't say Jeff Cobb, but it's going to be Jeff Cobb and a new Uso, and I think which Uso I'm talking about. All right. He has signed with the WWE for like at least a year. Okay. He has signed and he hasn't shown up. I'm not going to say the name, but I would suspect that to happen either at WrestleMania or also the next night, the Raw after Mania, which arguably is the best Raw period of all.
Of the year. Yeah.
Jeff, I like to see instantly first match. Jeff Cobb, AJ Styles, Jeff Cobb, Penta, Jeff Cobb, has, all right, again, arguably top 10 wrestler. And if they sign Mariah May, which I think they will, WWE, we'll close it out. I know it's WrestleMania, but AEW, is there still like the thing, oh my God, AEW is amazing or whatever? Even Jericho left now.
Jericho left? He didn't leave. He went for a tour with his band, and he's done that a couple times in the AEW's lifespan.
But do you know that?
And even if he does leave, AEW would be just fine without him. He was essential to kickstart it to get off the ground, but now there's so many homegrown stars and people whose careers have flourished in AEW, even after they'd been to WWE or New Japan or AAA or wherever it is, that he's not an essential structure to AEW anymore, with all due respect to him and his legend status and his
accolades. So I'm going to ask you one final question. For WrestleMania, we did but one final question. There have been rumors, even Tony Khan suggested that AEW streaming on Max gets 500,000 like a week or a show or whatever. Now, do you and you've been to AEW? You've been to AEW shows, and some shows are packed, and some shows I had more people at my bar mitzvah. All right, so like, look, okay, so that's the truth. Okay, what do you believe? Do you believe that nobody goes to the show, but they're watching it on streaming?
For sure, it's not everyone that's going to travel the country to go to shows the same way that I do.
Yeah, but 500,000.
Sorry.
But 500,000, averaging around 500,000 a show.
I honestly don't know. Like the last reports that I saw was that those ratings are not revealed to anyone, and we don't have an exact number. And I'm not a big fan of guessing, so I don't think we should be commenting on numbers that are possibly made up. So We don't know, but I don't know. It could be anything. It's, people watch it in different ways. People in Europe watch it on Thriller. When I'm in Europe, I watch it on Thriller, so that's another number to add. Some people watch highlights on YouTube. Some people watch it on TV. It's a whole thing. And until we have the numbers, it's just counterproductive to speculate, I think.
And AEW, by the way, we're on AEW now, but AEW just announced Forbidden Door coming to London August 24th. Well, Will Ospreay is on the cover there. If the and final question with Xenia here, final question. You mentioned Jericho and all that. What's one
You
guy?
mentioned Derek.
No, okay, I mentioned, but we talked about Jericho. But what's one guy that they can't afford to lose? In my opinion, they couldn't afford to lose Mariah May, and they're going to lose her, right? And
I think,
honestly,
I think Mariah May is brilliant, but I think a lot of her brilliance has been brought out by Tony specifically.
yeah,
So we're yet to see what Mariah May is like in a high profile feud where she's not supported by that behemoth and that enormous talent that Tony is. So if there's anyone that AW can't afford to lose, it's Tony. And but then at the end of the day, not to sound like a mean, heartless witch, but everyone is replaceable. And that's not to say that they don't hold value. Like I personally, like, I think wrestlers are some of the most talented people in the world. Like I think it takes so much. It takes physicality, it takes acting, it takes psychology, it takes so much. And I'm just in awe of so many wrestlers, again, of all different calibers, from freaking Randy Orton to Tony Storm to indie wrestlers here locally in Florida. But ultimately, a company, wrestling company, promotion is fluid. The stories are fluid. The main event picture is fluid. So we thought AW couldn't afford to lose Cody. Well, look at AW now. It's arguably better. Not because he left, but just because it's evolved since he's left. And I'm sure it would have been better if he stayed too. So it's just ultimately, it's not about one specific wrestler. It's about a combination of talents. It's about the writers. It's about the production. It's about the booking. Like it's not really about, oh, they lose this one person, suddenly the house of cards falls apart. That's just not how wrestling works.
no, that's Swerve Strickland. But hold on, right now on the phone because she's listening to what you. It's Mercedes Monet. She says she's the CEO and she's in it for the Monet. All right, so some people are in it for the Monet. We're talking about
Yeah.
cash
And
only.
there's nothing wrong with that. And ultimately, I think, again, as someone who works with wrestlers and with promotions, it helps them monetize their presence and get more money, right? I think it is important to have that money goal in mind, because a lot of the people that I come across who say that I don't do this for money, it doesn't matter to me. But then what are your goals? But then what is the monetary equivalent of what is success to you? Why are you trying to be successful? I think, if anything, wanting to be rich, wanting to become successful, wanting to reach the top is amazing fuel to have as a performer. And ultimately, people who do have that in mind are more successful than people who aren't in it for the money. So again, absolutely nothing wrong with that. If anything, if anyone needs advice, I would recommend actually having that in mind and actually having that monetary goal in mind.
So this is called a segue because when we talk about money, there's no better reason why not to check your Monday webinar where you
Yes,
talk about money, where you talk about promotion, while you're helping out the guys there. My question, and I didn't do it in the last show because this is the last show we're doing. My question is, why are you going to branch out from wrestling to football to hockey to soccer to bowling to mud wrestling? Mud wrestling, there's big money to be made, okay? But are you going to branch out because you're killing the game? And with all due respect,
thank you.
you're killing the game with wrestling, and anything I could do to help out, I got your back. But also hockey. You're Russian, Russian,
I am.
Spanish,
Yeah, I'm 1,000% open to anything and everything. And like you said, every Monday, 2 p.m. ET, I have my free webinars. You can check out my socials, click the link, register for one, or just DM me. And everything that I say there is 1,000% applicable to any other sport, is 1,000% applicable to any other entertainment industry. It's all translatable from one to the other, because ultimately, this is an entertainment business, entertainment industry. And it works this way in any other industry, not just here. And I have had clients outside of wrestling before, and I am open to having clients outside of wrestling and working with companies outside of wrestling. UFC has been really taking off with the collaboration with WWE, and I'm personally a big soccer fan. I am slowly immersing myself in football since I've been spending
who's
more
your
time
team
in
in
America.
soccer?
Barcelona, that's my team.
Yeah, but I thought you're not going to see Romania. Come on, me and you have something in common. I thought
I mean,
I'm gonna call
I
your dad. I'm gonna call your dad.
let
She
me
said
defend
Barcelona.
myself.
Come
I
on.
partially grew up in Spain and I still live in Spain part time. And this is where I fell in love with soccer or football. We call it football, we're European, right?
Yeah.
And this is where I got to see matches live and where I got to really absorb that culture. And where we live in Spain is somewhat close to Barcelona. Our actual home team is Mallorca,
Mallorca.
which I also support and I also go to games. But like my team is Barcelona. We're like by plane it's 30 minutes, by ferry it's a couple hours, but we're close to Barcelona and it's a close culture to me as well. I have a lot of friends in Barcelona and I've worked with wrestling promotions in Barcelona as well. And I've just been that's the scene I guess that I've been more immersed in. I've never been to a football match in Romania, so can tell you about the Romanian clubs really.
All right. Final question. It's a question from a viewer. Okay. Who and the viewer name is Jim Richardson, and Jim wants to know who is Xenia's favorite wrestler in the WWE and in AEW. And for that matter, he says if you say NWA or TNA or whatever. So if you want to give the four major wrestling promotions, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Do I have to pick one for each one?
All right, I'll give you a tag team. Two, one lady and one
Okay,
man. Okay, there you go.
okay, okay. Okay, so let's start with WWE since we're talking about WWE. Um, Again, historically, I would say The Miz, but now that Pentagon is in WWE, I don't know.
So, do you
Might
like
have to be
Penta
him.
or do you like Ray Phoenix?
I like Pentagon better personally, but also you can't argue with Pentagon himself when he says Ray Phoenix is the best wrestler in the world. So I guess it kind of comes as a package, but I'm personally a fan of Pentagon more so. But yeah, I guess, honorary mention The Miz, but the actual pick would be Pentagon.
Yeah.
In terms of the women, I think I have to go with Jordan Grace because, she's signed with WWE now, it's official, and I've been following her career for many years now, and it's been amazing to see her growth and her improvement and her matches and her physique and everything. So yeah, I think I have to pick her honestly.
Okay.
um AW,
Yeah.
are we talking like the full complex of
I
AWRH
don't
or
know. That's not my question. So,
okay, I'm gonna do RH separately then.
yeah.
So if we're talking AW, the male would be Trent. Obviously, we've talked about it. It's my obscure favorite, but he's literally one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So you know, and the woman would be Toni Storm because she's incredible and she's one of the
She's
best wrestlers in the
timeless.
world right now. She's timeless. Yeah, exactly. But when we're talking ROH, the woman would be Taya Valkyrie, who's another favorite wrestler person of mine.
Canadian.
Um, yeah, Canadian with a Mexican training background, so that's
Yeah.
incredible for me. Um, and the man, maybe let's say Matt Taven. I really like his tag team performance, but also his singles and his comedy shtick that he's been doing on the indies. Has been great. So definitely another favorite. Okay.
Let's go to NXT.
TNA,
NXT and TNA. Then.
NXT,
Yeah.
NXT. Uh, mhm. Which one should I start with? Let's start with TNA actually. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I can say her because she's only been featured sporadically, but Rena Michelle, I've been a big fan for a
Yeah.
long time. And I don't think she's signed to a permanent contract with
No,
TNA, but she's been featured here and there. And I just have to say her because I just love her so much. And she's, uh, it's again, everything about her. She's just captivating. Like the way she presents herself, you can't take your eyes off of her. I really love her.
yeah,
Um, and the man would have to be. Oh, why am I confused? I didn't realize he's signed to TNA officially. Why am I even thinking Nick Nemeth? Obviously, that's my guy. That's the goat. That's the best of all time.
I
Of
heard you
course.
like better his brother.
That is not true. I do like Ryan a lot. Let's just say that I like them equally. But I am picking Nick for this.
All right.
No,
And
Ryan is awesome. Ryan is awesome in his own right, and he's not just Nick Nemeth's brother. Like he's the driving force behind the comedy project, and he's one of the very few male pro feminists that I've met that
yeah,
actually have their head in the right place, which is incredible. So I'm a big fan of Ryan, big supporter. So definitely he's great, and I would pick him if Nick wasn't that promotion.
yeah, yeah. So okay, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say NXT unless you want to, but
I mean,
tell
we
them.
can do NXT because I do want to
Okay,
shout out Axiom.
okay,
Uh,
go.
so he'll be the guy because like I said,
You don't like
I
Nathan Frazier?
I mean, I like
Okay,
everyone.
next question.
Let's be diplomatic about it. But I do want to shout out Axiom because he's, I think, one of like the two wrestlers that have come out of the Spanish training system, or three actually,
Yeah,
who have made it on the international scene, and the other two being Tosaya, who's I'm sure is just in the beginning of his journey, and he's absolutely incredible, and Carlos Romo, who's a very good personal friend of mine and an extremely talented person. He does music, he does wrestling, he does producing, he does sound work, he does all of it. He's amazing. But Axiom having come out of the Spanish training
yeah,
system
yeah.
is just such an accomplishment for the Spanish wrestling scene, and it's just such a pride for anyone has to do with the Spanish wrestling scene. So I do want to shout him out. And we've been talking a lot about Jakara and Lash Legend. And they haven't been called up yet officially, I don't think, right? So let me just pack them into a tag team and give you that as the answer because I have been following them somewhat, and I just think the vibe that they bring is super cool. And like I said, as a tall girl, I'm always a supporter of fellow tall girls, so that's something that they love to see in wrestling. Like you would think, right, a sport this physical would have more body type diversity, would have more tall women, more jacked women, more curvy women. We're still kind of on our way to that point where it's so diverse, but I love to see a fellow tall girl. So definitely them. Yeah, and WA, that's another no-brainer. The women's would be Natalia Markova, because that's a similar sentiment for me as it is with the Spanish scene, because she is, I think, the only wrestler to come out of the Russian training
Yes,
system and actually make it in the United States. And by the way, she's absolutely incredible. Like the way that she minds her physique and her conditioning and her training is incredible. Like if you look at her build, like that is the ultimate form a human can possibly reach. I have no idea. Like I can't even imagine how hard she works. It's crazy, but she's incredible, and she's another like pride and joy, of any Russian in wrestling, of any Slavic person in wrestling. Because fun fact, she was actually technically the first ever women's wrestler in Russia ever. That's
yeah.
how young the wrestling scene in Russia is. It's crazy. So it's amazing to see her. And the male would be our friend Aaron Stevens, of course.
Kissing up. Never mind. But that's
No, hey, I've liked him ever since WWE, so I'm not trying to twist the narrative here.
he's a Rhodes Scholar. All right, tell everybody how they could get a hold of you once again, and everybody enjoy WrestleMania Night 1, Night 2. It's going to be the greatest WrestleMania. They always say that, so I'm going to
They
say
always
it.
say that.
But
Every year is the greatest one.
but this year it's the greatest one because there's going to be some showgirls. It's Vegas. I've seen the stage. Did you see the stage yet?
I saw some
Oh,
pictures of like the construction. It's looking huge. Yeah,
but it's like a casino. You're coming out of a casino, so
love that.
you could see the guys if they're in a sad. They already lost their money in the casino. Now they got to go wrestle. All right. So, but no, it's going to be off the
And have
charts.
to make the money back.
That's right. And don't forget WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. All right. So we already know where it's going to be in New Orleans, and WWE is going to go around the world. They have a Premier Live event in France also. And don't forget, I mentioned Passover, but Goldberg is still talking to Triple H about having one match, and he wants to have it in Israel. So that's interesting if WWE goes to Israel and has a Premier Live event as well. But I digress. Xenia, tell everybody how they could get a hold of you on social media. And don't forget, Mondays, 2 o'clock, check it up, the webinar. Some famous wrestlers are on there. I sneak peeked who's on there, so I won't say it, but some wrestlers are even there, so no reason why you shouldn't
I
go.
mean, it's a webinar for wrestlers, so it's only fair that wrestlers are there. But
No,
it's
but
not just for
you didn't
wrestlers.
tell me he's on it. You didn't tell me this guy's on it. Like I was surprised. Actually, a DM, and like, I wasn't his DM. Never mind. Okay, so tell
Yeah, it's
everybody how.
not just for wrestlers, it's for any kind of wrestling professionals. So that encapsulates wrestlers, promoters, broadcasters, creators of any kind. So if you're working in any capacity in wrestling, it could be useful for you. This is every Monday, 2 p.m. ET. Take a look at my socials, click the link in bio or DM me. I'm Xenia did that. That's Xenia on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, or X, YouTube. My merch is on Pro Wrestling Tees and Teespring. You can look it up, type in Xenia did that as well. And yeah, if you're a wrestler or promoter looking to scale your business, get more income, capture your correct target audience, reach out to me, click the link in my bio or DM me or email me, and let's talk about it and let's lift up your business to superstardom.
Hey, I got a thought about merchandise. Instead of Xenia did that, Xenia is fired up.
I
There you
love that.
go.
I
Yeah,
love
okay.
that. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, go get and get me some shirts. They're making like really really nice and all that. But everybody enjoy WrestleMania, and Xenia. Hopefully, we'll have you back next week to
Absolutely.
to discuss your experiences in Vegas. And I don't want it. You're on TV now worldwide. I don't want it to be like, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, 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 no.
No, no, no.
Whatever
I'm
happens in
telling
Vegas.
everything.
That's right. And the more fired up it is, the better, because we're the Fired Up Network. We're also female empowerment movement. Enjoy WrestleMania, everybody. And thank you, Xenia.
Thank you so much for having me.